In this video help tutorial, what we're going to be covering next is the medical websites, how to add a website to the medical list, and the list view for that particular set of screens. We've already covered the test status list, and one of the last things I want to point out, this is going back to the do action. The balance of the information in here, we showed omit record, show the omitted where we switched them, and then we have export records and import records. Importing records to a screen has to be done in the actual record, like the primary. If you're exporting and importing, it has to come from that particular field. As far as a screen is concerned, you cannot export or import fields data into an actual multi-line portal. So you have to go to the portal record to bring in the portal records if you're going to import them, or import, say like for example, log persons, that would have to be imported through the import for a live field. Now, another thing, on the iPad and iPhone, you cannot import records at all. This is for the Mac and Windows versions or the cloud version of applications that are designed like this. So importing is not a potential thing you can do on the iPhone or iPad. That would be something you'd have to do manually to add records. But you can export data. So for example, if I bring up the export screen, you'll see that the current records that I'm looking at are the blood pressure logbook records for testing. That's the screen that I'm looking at. If I click on this, that is highlighting that record. I can choose a different format for them. For example, I could have comma, DBase, Excel, HTML, merge, and merge is usually done in a like Excel or something like that in merge records. And tab separated would be something I could either use that for either a CSV or a tab to put into, say, like a mailing list of different people, as far as taking the names and the address and phone numbers and stuff like that and exporting them. But in this particular application, there really aren't no things like that. Let's go back from export, and you can actually designate the fields you want to bring in. Anything that has a check mark in it. So for example, if I clicked off of this, that would not be exported. So you pick the ones that you want to export of those fields that are available, and then you export those particular fields. If they're not showing in this list and they're not in there, then you do not want to try to address that. Use the form layout. That means that if in this form it would be in the order. If it was, say, multiple fields on live fields up here, it would put them in the order on the export the way they're actually shown on the screen. You can send an email of the data. For example, if I wanted to email this, now chances are, because this has taken so much area on the screen, so you have a lot of visible area, when you email it, it's not going to email well, but you could save it. It will take a portion of the screen, say 8.5 by 11 inches or whatever you have set for your export if you're trying to show this as a text file. As far as exporting it, you can, and sending an email, you can send all the fields you want to that are live fields as an export record if you wanted to, as far as emailing and saving it. So you could save it, say for example, as a tab eliminated file, and put it into Excel, for example, if you wanted to. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Let's go back and look at one of the other ones, printing records. When it comes to printing, you can print a range. In this particular case, it'd be the current record or the found set. If I was looking at these four, and say for example I wanted to omit one of those, and then that would be the only one shown in the current records, or it would be the current record. So for example, in this case, I've got log person. In this case, only that log person would be the current record, because I could not export current records for additional people. It's only the one I'm viewing at the time. Now if I had a found set, for example, if I'm looking at, say, for example, a lot of people in a group or records, then I could do that in the found set from a list view, or the actual portal records for all the people that are in this group over here. Kind of just overlook these. They're not going to be things that you probably will ever get a chance to do in this application, and they're really not relevant for this particular application. So going back over here, if I were printing a bunch of these things, I usually would be in a list view so that I could list all the items. I do the number of pages from, for example, from page 1 to whatever. I could do 1 to 5. I could do a page range from to, or all pages, for example, is selected now. I could do from page 1 to page 5. And then those would all print. I can set the paper size to any kind of thing or more. I can add a custom size. I can do orientation, a portrait, and landscape. I can scale for a laser printer that has the ability to do that, or set the dots per inch based on the actual thing that I'm working with. And one that I like to do is if you try to, for example, move to landscape so you can get more capture area on the screen, you can do an export of a PDF file. And when you do an export of a PDF, you can view it on the screen, you can send it an email, or you can save a copy as some format that you want to save. So that's kind of interesting, and all those things that you can do from this application. And if you want to do the actual print, you would click on print for the settings that you have set up, and then it would show you available printers. You have to have it turned on, of course, or you're not going to get anything. If you're on an iPad or iPhone, you have to use Wi-Fi or 3G or 4G in order to send the document to a local printer that understands that. And in most cases today, the HP can print across the internet through Wi-Fi, but in most cases you have to have a Wi-Fi printer to go from the iPad or iPhone. But if you print on a desktop machine where you have this on the desktop, it would definitely find whatever desktop printer's out there, regardless if it's a Wi-Fi or if it's hooked directly to your computer. Okay. If you have any questions, you always contact us to find the answers. The next thing we're going to be covering in this lesson, we're going to try to complete these three different files. Medical websites. This is quite interesting. In this particular application, what I've done is I've set up a variance of different records that are clicked on by when you click up here on this field, it's going to do a drop-down list. There's roughly 25 different websites that are in here right now, and this scrolls up and down and gives you a lot of different choices for looking for information. Some of them that I'll point out here that are really relevant is this one that says important. This is if you're taking drugs for your anything really. But specifically for blood pressure, you can go in here and find all the side effects that may be caused by a blood pressure medicine. Or if you're doing things about just regular health things that you want to go through, you can look through here and you'll see that there's a lot of other things, for example, that are available. And you can add, and actually this record here is really interesting. Why is high blood pressure so dangerous, and so forth. There are different things that you probably want to view all of these. And this one up here is if you have high top numbers and you want to find out more information and also about diastolic and systolic, you would click on this and what it do. Watch this, it just takes a second. You'll see the bar go across, and now I'm actually looking at that particular record for high blood pressure, hypertension, and if I just click in here and move up and down, you'll see that there's a lot of different things that are covered in here and other links that are available to you to expand your information that you want to understand, especially things like symptoms and some of the things that are other things down here, like Mayo Clinic gives you other links to other pages like diabetics pages and stuff like that, which some of those are also listed in here right now. Now, what you can do when you're adding additional screens in here for medical information that you want to have in your, we call this knowledge base. If you click in here, you're going to see what is in there now. And if, say, for example, I even have one in here for HTTP Google. This is Google search. So you can go to different websites and see if those are websites that you want to go to. For example, it'll bring up Google. Now, I'll point out something that's very important. There is no URL button at the top of the screen. This is a select list. If you want to add additional websites, what you have to do is search for a website. Typically, you would do it outside the application to get the URL that you want to use. And how do you do that? Well, if you open this up, you're going to see where I clicked on that little header that was underlined, and it takes you into the medical website in here. What I did is I went out on my computer, and while I was on it, and I found a website that I wanted to use, and I copied first of all, the URL for that particular thing in Google Chrome. I copied that URL, I pasted it in here, and then I typed in the actual medical site name in here. And the way you do this is if you're going to add a new one, you click Add Record. This will go blank. Then you drop in the URL and type in the actual name that you want here for that particular medical website page that you're highlighting. You can also come over here and make extra notes about that particular website and the things that are really interesting to you here, so you have that record. There's also some explanation of how to set up the websites with the information here. where you can add as many URLs. You're not limited. You could have 1,000 if you wanted to, of things that you're interested in as far as medical information that you may be able to use. So this is almost acting as though not just blood pressure, but a consistent new knowledge base so that you can add to it all the time you want to. If I go back to the website and I click up here, anything that I've added, like I talked about diabetes, and there's one that says continued and diabetes. I could come up here and I could pick diabetes and just wait a couple seconds, and then it pops up. And now this is through the Mayo Clinic, where the other one is WebMD. I could go through here and find those items. Let's show you one from WebID or WebMD, where it says, for example, fighting fatigue. Now, why would you need something about fatigue and fighting fatigue or backache or whatever? This is very important, and this is relevant. Diabetics or people that have high blood pressure are going to have symptoms that are related to things like backache, back pain, kidney pains, neck pains, headaches, and stuff like that, depending on the kind of drug that you're taking. If you go in and you look at what side effects you might run into, and let's go ahead and just show WebMD for a second. One of the things that may be listed in there is how medical marijuana can be used. You want to know what the side effects might be for that. If your teeth hurt. I mean, there's a number of things in here, and when we're talking about the fatigue itself, if you go up here and you click on that particular thing and go to see about a slideshow about fatigue, it's going to tell you why you would get fatigued. And if you go to the, say like the drug listing and move down there where the drug listing is at, to find out information about certain drugs and what the impact is on you for drugs that you're taking, it would be very important for you to do that. It's the one that I marked with important on it, for example, right here, drug side effects. Drug side effects, for example, I went 26 months crippled. I actually had to get a plate for my car for handicapped. And what it turned out to be is the blood pressure pills that I was taking had side effects that we were not aware of. And after seeing several doctors, they missed it. What happened is I eventually asked some questions and then did research myself that started this whole application being designed, where I looked at all the things that were related to the pills that I was taking. And for example, in this screen, what you can do is you can put in the actual search for a term for the medication you're using. It'll bring up a thing and then give you all the side effects of what that might be. And when I said I was crippled, I couldn't even stand. I could barely walk. And I had to get a wheelchair because I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair. And what it turned out to be was a serious reaction. After 5 years of taking the same blood pressure medicine, it kind of turned on me, and it was starting to cripple me instead of help me. So those are things you need to read about and understand. The basic thing I'd put the database in here for, as far as the medical knowledge, is that you should add to it and use it as a tool so that you don't run into things where you're 26 months injured and not knowing why. And if you read and do your search and find information and copy it and take it to your doctor, for example, copy it or select the entire thing and copy it or share it with your doctor, you might be able to get answers that were very important to you to understand what exactly is going on as far as your health is concerned. Now, if I pull this back down, I can pick the exact things I want to put in there. And for example, if I wanted to put it over here, when you double click on it, it'll allow you to see copy, select, define, and share. Now, if it's a word you want to define, you can click define. It'll come back out as a dictionary and give you the term that you're looking at. So that's also helpful if you're, say, for example, you're looking at a drug and you don't understand a term they're using, for example, right here. If I go in and I want to know what that means, I can go over here in the drugs and look at that particular word and find out what it actually is supposed to mean. And when I find out the meaning, then I can converse with my doctor better and understand better what I'm actually dealing with as far as whatever I'm working with. And edema is something that I suffered with in both my legs and feet, and I also had neuropathy in my toes. And it's taken more than 26 months. It may take going to a nerve doctor to get treatment for nerves that were injured because of the issue that I had with my pills. It actually caused follow-on crippling effects for my feet and legs. So you really, when you do your research and you're looking at things like edema or neuropathy, and You look through the actual drugs that you're looking, and this is how I determined that I had a problem with my pills. The doctors weren't telling me. I put in the pills in this website, looked at all the side effects from those pills, and lo and behold, there it was. All the symptoms I was having were listed, and it told me exactly what to do, what to say to my doctor in order to get the answer that I was looking for. And we stopped taking those pills. Even after that, they determined, because of my blood pressure range that I was currently in, which is group 1 type of a thing, that I could use exercise and diet to bring it down enough to where I could stop taking pills completely. And that's another thing you want to do in here. And you want to see what the ranges and stuff like that are for. And there's also, in this information, you're going to see where it talks about medications, choosing blood pressure medications. And that will give you more information about if you're taking a medication and you see certain side effects, what do you do? Do you continue taking it, or what are you going to do? And you can get expert answers and stuff like that as far as what is the solution for whatever you're seeing. That way, when you go to talk to your doctor, you have information that you're armed with to ask questions. Doctors are just people. They're going to look for you to give them enough information because they're not living in your body. They don't know what you're going through and what you're feeling. So you're going to have to tell them and then refer about different things and maybe go through and look at all the links that are in here. For example, this is a very important one where it's talking about range information for different age groups and what you should see as far as the systolic and diastolic pressures. And I asked my doctor for that information. My doctor told me that I should be at 130 and no higher. After reading this, I found at my age group, I can get up to 145 on systolic, and that changed my whole outlook. I went back and told the doctor 140 over 90 is high, but you should not go much above that. But at my age group, 145 was where I should be, and actually my diastolic was even lower than this particular area here. When I first started taking medicine, I had 160 to 170 over 93, 94. So I was actually in a different blood group at that time. But over time, due to improving my health and losing weight, I was able to get to a better weight and a better situation in group 1 for blood pressure or high blood pressure. And now I'm getting it lower, and that's how I'm being treated by my doctor now. And it helped me to give her information to allow my doctor to come back to me and say, you need to do this. She wanted to start out a diuretic. I took one diuretic pill, and it made me sick. So we stopped that, and then we went into more weight loss. And looking at this, it gives me additional information about different kinds of treatments and medicines and what the reactions to those may be. And this is really a group of different things like channel blockers and inhibitors and beta blockers and stuff like that. These are all the basic groups of different blood pressure medicine that you need to understand and understand them enough so that you can talk to your doctor intelligently in order to ask questions. Okay, I'm not going to run this into the ground, but if you have additional questions, best thing to do is to add new websites in here that you find, and you can do that through a Google search, and that's why I added Google search to this area so that you can go ahead and have that information available to you. And for example, if I go back in here, I could read about them before I actually bring them into the database by going to Google and finding Google first. It's in here right about there. It is. When I go into Google, I'll search for a particular keyword, and from that keyword, I'll be led off to different sites where I can find more information. Okay, thank you for taking this application video help. And like I said before, prior to this, if you have additional questions, it's best to go ahead and contact us through the website and using the support button in order to find that information. The video helps. If you click on this particular button here, it'll take you to the first screen or the main screen where you can view the video helps that we're showing you in these tutorials. Thank you.